everyone. My name is Viola Arduini, and I'm here to present my capstone project, Flows of Relatedness. So first, a little bit about myself. You may pick an accent. I'm Italian, but I've been living here in New Mexico for the past 7 years, where I found my new home. I'm an artist and a researcher, and my main work and line of research explore the relationship between humans, nature, and technology. So I was very excited to be part of this bootcamp to really delve into the technology firsthand, and I learned a lot, but we'll talk about that. I have an MFA in Art and Ecology. That is an interdisciplinary program here at UNM, and the reason why I'm in New Mexico originally. And my work really pushed me to the interdisciplinary work between, in particular, art and biology, so much that I actually enrolled now in STEM for the first time after 20 plus years of humanities, and I am studying biotechnology at CNM. So I'm a student at CNM for another, that's less than a year. Before I talk about the capstone, I just wanted to touch on a couple of my past work to give an idea of what I usually do. Then maybe what I'm going to present today and what kind of things interest me. So on the left here is a photograph that was part of this multimedia installation called Nina's Story. Nina was one of the first female wolf in the Mexican gray wolf breeding program. And the Mexican gray wolf is a local species of wolves. They are near extinction, and there is a breeding program put in place to repopulate. I found their story and I decided to make a whole installation about the installation and photographs, like you see the sample here, sculptural pieces, and by genetic engineering. So there was live bacteria in the gallery that have been genetic engineering to hold part of the story of Nina into their own DNA. On the right is a more technology-based, if you want, work is a digital collage. For this one, Hummingbird is part of the Camino Manifesto. I literally scan bird specimens, also birds, coming back on the flat scanner and then create this collage. So these are all hummingbirds from Latin America and kind of more a play on forms. Take a sip of water. Stress. Okay, so what is the project? Flows of Relatedness, my capstone. In a line is an interactive installation for data embodiment. So what I wanted to do was to create an object and a space that allow to perceive at the scale that's human, that's the human body, two major flows that cross Albuquerque. One is the flowing of the river, the Rio Grande, flowing south most of the days. And the other is more invisible flow of migrations of birds. New Mexico is a huge corridor for migrations for birds, and really looking at the data, you can see almost these planet-wide movements from the south to the north and then back twice a year. Those are flows that are very important that we don't necessarily notice because we live in a very urban environment with walls and artificial lights around us. They are very important to understand how ecologically, climatically, and the biological health of the region. You can imagine when the river dries up, sometimes at the end of the summer, what ecological implication they may have, what the number of birds migration can be studied to tell us about the health of the region, and even larger, but in particular for both the Rio Grande, the birds, we are talking about the watershed and the migration path. They really encompass a lot of space, but they happen here in Albuquerque, and I wanted to visualize that. To do that, I looked for data, and in particular, I found two sources. One is the broadcast created by Cornell University, It's a super cool website. If you are obsessed with birds like me, I really advise you to look at the project. Basically use weather radars to estimate the number of birds in flight for any given night and day of the year. And then the water from the Rio Grande that's monitored by the USGS, the Geological Survey. Also, I want to give a tribute to the UNM Turner Lab, where I've been working before this bootcamp started. I didn't have time, but I may go back. They are a lab at UNM that specifically study the genetics of endangered species of fish in the Rio Grande, and really looking at how this flow of water can change the animals living in them. These are just two examples of what this data look like. So on the left is a week of data from this November of the Rio Grande. This is cubic feet per second, so how much water is moving. And then on the right, the broadcast. Again, think about weather radars, really look like a weather map, but instead of being storm or high pressure zones, is birds moving. Just pick this date in May because this is across the US, so not just in Mexico, but there are more than 350 million birds in flight on the United States. That's more than the population of humans. I love that. Okay, so what the installation look like? There are three main parts. Two are physical and one is online. There's a sculptural piece that is inspired by the scale itself of the Silver Minnow, and it's a moving sculpture that open and close based on the data of the Rio Grande water flow. So think it close when, like you move in one direction where the water is low, and you open in the other direction when the water is high. And then there is a light installation made of LEDs that lights up based on birds migration. So the more birds are flying on New Mexico for that day, the more lights light up. And all of those also refer to an online space that I've started to create and definitely want to continue to create, that I hope is gonna work as a repository for creating collective stories about these two flows, and again, find ways to visualize them also through our personal experience. This is just a little like first concept, first drafts. So like top on the left is some scientific drawing of fish scales. Then I really enjoy like playing with, and kind of here on the bottom right, the first draft idea. So the sculptural elements that move according to river flow data, and then LED kind of embedded in the platform. Regarding how I made it, these are where parts I use. So as many of us know in this class, Photon 2 is the brain. Overall, is a fairly simple installation. So there is NeoPixel, there is servo motors that have been causing some problem. I may have to rethink which kind of motors to use. There is a PWM servo motor driver to control multiple servos at the same time. And then the last three parts are component a solar changing system. Because I would like for this installation to, at least during the day, be sufficient and harvest the energy they need directly from the sun. This is my little messy schematic. For this prototype, I decided to not chain the LED, so they are all independently attached. Was a decision given also a bit by time, and also something that can be, I would like to rethink. In terms of the object itself, there is a laser cut base that composed in wood and acrylic, and then 3D printed holders for the servo that attach them to the base. and these little connectors that you see pivoting here that attach the sculptural scales to the servo itself. Okay, that's it, and I'm gonna tell you more. Okay, so we're gonna look at the making of a demo. First of all, the challenge, but also the most interesting part for me was the data itself. What you see here is just a very tiny part of the water flow data, so it's like endless. I think that it's like every 15 minutes for a whole year. So the first interesting but challenging part was how to take this huge amount of data and make something that the photon can actually, look at. So we created some CVS file in Excel, and then this array. This is for the water flow. There is daily average for each day of the year. So this 365 data point, and this is for the bird migration. You see huge numbers in high peak migration, and then there is actually no data for off season. And then I made functions that look at this data and make things happen. And I just want to point that I'm very proud. This was such a challenge, but I was able to use pointers that I don't think I understood until I actually tried to do this project. So it's something I am proud of for these functions. And then there is also an online connection to this online repository. You're gonna see the idea is when new submissions, new stories are uploaded, something happens in the sculpture as well. Fabrication. So fabrication was a bit of a challenge. Here are my scales. Thank you, EJ, for the work in progress pictures. This was the first time it was actually running all together. So you're gonna see in a moment the scales moving. For this demo, I made them move every few seconds. So I think every time they move is a day. The real work, we actually move slowly, and we move in real time with the data. And this is, again, a time lapse of how it works, extremely split up. Also, I apologize, I moved the camera way too much at the beginning. And so, yeah, every time they move, every time the pixel change, that's a day that, for the sake of time here in representation, I'm just showing. Some of the servers were a bit disobedient. Also, at this point, I've been running for 2 hours, and it was really getting cranky. But I hope you can have an idea. So the pixel gets higher as the number of birds flying on a specific moment get higher, as well as the scale move. And then in a second, we should be able to see the pixel switching. So after the summer, the idea is for the bird migration to be represented in the opposite direction, with the idea that on the trail, this may be directed north-south and really give a movement of how the birds are going. This is the online, let me actually go back a little bit. This is
can I check those Halo builds just to make sure really quick when you send them? How many parts were you able to fit on there?
That I created with the submission form that needs to be activated, but I hope it can be part of the installation. And here is me putting some fake data for you to see how it works. So very simply, name, contact, and then a message. And my idea is potentially working also with organizations, schools, to really create a repository of stories about the birds and the Rio. Once a submission is submitted, we're gonna see in a moment. So this is back to the sculpture. This turn magenta at the moment the submission is submitted. So it doesn't just visualize river and birds data, but also what's happening in the online space. Oops. Move forward here. I'm stuck forever. Okay. So that's the prototype, next steps, and things I want to continue working on. Fabrication was a bit of a challenge for me. I'm a maker, but I struggle with fabrication. I need to make mistakes sometimes. So I think this was very good to have a small prototype. I learned a lot, and I'm ready to take it to the real world in the spring. So really thinking about what does it take from this desktop sculpture to become a public art piece. Also, as you saw, for sake of time for this bootcamp, for this only 2 weeks we had, I use data sets, but the goal for me is to really use real-time data. So to do some more work on webhooks and be able to get that data in real time. So if you think about the river flow, there is new data every 15 minutes by the USGS. So what that will mean really to be happening in real time. And then, as I mentioned, I hope for this installation to become a space for visualizing and embodiment of the data, but also a space for dialogue around. So you may be collaborating with environmental organizations or again with educational projects to bring attention to these flows of relatedness, as the title say, and activate the online component as well. And they may live also after the installation itself goes down. Also, I had the servo 4 days ago, and that was a big part of the fabrication process. As many of others, I also want to thank Brian and AJ. Thank you. You guys are saints. Also Carol, because without her help of catching me up and really supporting me these 10 days, yeah, well, I don't know if I would have finished, and the city of Albuquerque for this opportunity to be here. This is my email, social media, and my website. I don't do phones, so I didn't put my phone. Thank you.